Welcome all to Fundamentals of Buddha-Dhamma. Today is week 7 and session 1. Our teacher today is Bhikkhu Jnana Rakkhita. So I just wanted to share the topic that Bhante is going to cover. From this week onwards, for the next 4 weeks, we're going to have Bhante Jnana Rakkhita covering the topics from leading a Buddhist life on Saturdays. And we will continue with our topic of fundamental teaching of Buddha with Bhante Sugatnanda, who would be taking the topic on Sundays. So this is just the convenience as to availability of the Bhantes, but Saturdays, Bhante Jnana Rakkhita would continue with leading a Buddhist life. And today the topic is, what is the purpose of life? Understanding the nature of human being and life. So with that, I just wanted to request Bhante to please start the proceeding. Go ahead, Bhante.
Okay. First of all, greeting to all of you. And then I could see here from my Guruji, Khemasara Bhante, also joining online. First of all, I pay homage to him. And with his blessing, we will start the puja. And then greeting to all of you who are joining through online. So first we will start with the puja, and after that taking Panchasila, and after the few minutes of meditation, we will go through this, and there will be 15-16 minutes puja for the happiness of the world and for the happiness for oneself also. So with this we will start. So all of you pay full attention and with full awareness, I request every one of you. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Iti piso bhagavarahang samma sambuddho vijjacharana sampan sugato lokavido anuttaro purisadhamma sarati sattha deva manussanang buddho Vati namo tassa samma sambuddhassa ye ca buddha atita ca ye ca buddha anagata paccuppanna ca ye buddha aham vandami sabbada natti me saranang anyang buddho me saranang vadam Etena sacca vajjena hotu te jaya mangalang uttamang jena vandehang padapang varuttamang buddheyo khalito doso buddho kamatutang mamang buddhang yavanibbana pariya saranang gacchami Swakhato bhagavata dhammo sanditthiko akaliko ehi passiko opanaya paccatang veditabbo vinyo hete namo tassa niyanikassa dhammassa ye ca dhamma Jaya ca dhamma anagata paccuppanna jaya dhamma aham vandami sabbada natti me saranang anyang dhammo me saranang varang etena sacca vajjena hotu te Uttamang jena vandehang dhamman ca devedang varang dhamme yo khalito doso dhammo mamang dhammang yavanibbana pariyantang saranang gacchami. Supatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Ujupatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Nyayapatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Samicipatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Yadidang chattari purisayo Atha purisa puggala esa bhagavato savaka sangho ahuneyo pahuneyo dakhine anjali karaniyo anuttarang punyakhetang lokasati namo tassa thariya puggala maha Saye cha sangha ateta cha ye cha sangha anagata paccoppanna cha ye sa ahang vandami sabbada natti me saranang anyang sangho me saranang varang etena saccava Hotu te jaya mangalang uttamang jena vandehang sanghang chate vidottama sanje khalito doso sangho khamatu tang mamang sanghang yavanibhana pariya saranang gacchami Evang buddhang sarantanang dhammang sanghang ca bhikkhavo bhayang chambitatang valo mahang so nahesate ghanasarapade Dipena tamadang sinate lokadepang sang buddhang pujayami tamonodang ganda sambarayote Dupena hasugandina pujaye pujaniyantang puja bhajanamo Varnaganda gunopetang etang kusuma santating pujaya Munindasa siripada saruruhe puje me buddhang kusumena nena punya Tena chahoto mokhang bopang milaya te yathai dhamme kayo tathaya te vinasa bhavang nirodha sama Buddhaitva nisena saviya bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasa imena dipe pena Pena poje me imang de pado papo papo jadi nama sakala sang buddhanang pacika buddhanang agasawakanang mahasawakanang arahantanang pagatise Aham bete sang anuvattako homi imani popani vanni napi suvannang gandhi Dang santani napi susanthanang kepami vadubbanang do gandang do santhanang Papunisati evameva sabbe sankhara nicca sabbe sankhara dukkha sabbe dhamma anattati imaya dhammanu dhamma padipattiya buddhang pujimi Imaya dhammanu dhamma padipattiya dhammang pujimi Imaya dhammanu dhamma padipattiya sanghang pujimi Vandami cetiyang sabang sabbthane supatititang saririkadatu Mahabodhim buddharupang sakalang sada Yassa mule nisinno vasabbari vijayang akapatu Banyodang satha vande tang bodhipadabang imete mahabodhim lokanatena pujitang Ahang pete namassami bodhiraja namatute Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Vipatti pativahaya sabba sampatti siddhya sabba dukkhang vinasaya sabba bhaya vinasaya sabba rogang vinasaya bhaveti gayokadaya Sabba loka hitathaya paritang tang banamahe samanta cakkavale atra gaccantu devata saddhammang munirajasa sunantu saggamo Dhamma savana kalo ayang badanda Dhamma savana kalo ayang badanda Dhamma savana kalo ayang badanda Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Karaniyamatha kusalena yantang santang padang abhisamecha sakko jocha sovachocha samudo anatimani santo sakocha subharocha appakechocha sallahu kabutti Indriyocha nipakocha pagabho kulesu ananu jedho nacha kuddhang samachare kinchi yena vinyo pareru pavati Sukhino vakemino hondo sabbe satta bhavantu sukhita Ye kece pana bhutati tasava thavara va anavasesa digava mahandava majjima rasakanu katula dithava yeva dithaye chadu vasante avidure bhutava sambhave seva sabbe satta bhavantu sukhita naparo parang nikubetha nyati manyeta katta sinang kanchi byaro sana patiga sanya nanya manyasa dukkhamicceya mata yatha niyang buddha Ayusa eka buddha manurakhe Visabha bhute somana sangbhavaye aparimanang Etancha sabba lokasming mana sangbhavaye aparimanang Uddhang adocha tiriyancha sangbhadang avirang asapatang tithang charang nisin Sayano vayavatassa vigatamidho etang sating adittheya brahmame viharang idamaho dittincha nupagamma silavadassannena sampanno Kamesu vinaya gedang nahi jato gabbaseyang punarete te dukkha patacani dukkha bhaya patacani bhaya soka patacani soka hontu sabbe pipanino etena sacha vajjena Sutite hotu sabbada etena sacca vajjena sabba dukkha vinasatu etena sacca vajjena sabba bhaya vinasatu etena sacca vajjena sabba roga vinasatu etena sacca vajjena hotu te jaya mangalam etena sacca vajjena patu te ratanatayam bhavatu sabba mangalam rakhantu sabba devata sabba buddha nubhavena sada sote bhavantu te bhavatu sabba mangalam rakhantu sabba devata sabba dhamma na sada sote bhavantu te bhavatu sabba mangalam rakhantu sabba devata sabba nubhavena sada sote bhavantu te imena punya gammena mami bala sama satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana patiya idam me punyam gammang asavakkayang vahang hotu sabba dukkha pamucchatu nibbana sapaccaya hotu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Bhante, I will make the Panchashili Yachana now.
Okay.
Oka savandami bhante dvaratayena maya kattang sabba paradhang khamatu me bhante dutiyam piyoka savandami bhante dvaratayena maya kattang sabba paradhang khamatu me bhante Tatyam piyoka savandami bhante dvaratayena maya kattang sabba aparadhang khamatu me bhante okasa ahang bhante tisaranena sah panchasilang dhammang yachami anugrah katva silang dethame bhante Dutiyam piyoka sahang bhante tisaranena sah panchasilang dhammang yachami anugrah katva silang dethame bhante tatyam piyoka sahang bhante tisaranena sah panchasilang dhammang yachami anugrah katva silang dethame bhante.
Yamahang vadamitam vaditha.
Bhante.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sangham saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddham saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddham saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi sangham saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi sangham saranam gacchami.
Tisaranagamana paripunnam.
Bhante.
Panatipata veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Panatipata veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Please repeat. Panatipata.
Pata veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Okay.
Yes, Bhante.
Adinnadana. Yeah. Do you hear me?
Yes, Bhante, I can hear you.
Okay. Adinnadana veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Adinnadana veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Kami sumichachara veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Kame sumichhācara veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Musāvāda veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Suramerayamajjapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Sūrāmerayya majjapamādaṭṭhāna veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Tisaranena saddhim panchasilang dhammang sadhukang surakhitam katva appamadena silang sampadetha.
Bhante.
So now, after doing puja with faithfully to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, and after taking Panchasila and gone refuge for the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, now we will do meditation for a few minutes to make peace to our mind. So for this, you have to be first taken yourself in a comfortable posture, or if you are sitting on a chair, you can take as you like, and make yourself comfortable in your body as well as in your mind too. Without wasting time, we will do meditation just for 5 or 6 minutes. Time is very precious and it's running very fast. So we should not waste our time, even for the 1 second also. After making relax whole parts of your body and mind, now you can watch your breath, the incoming breath and outgoing breath. And also it is very important to forget the past and to forget the future also, and to bring back all your attention towards the present. As you breathe in, your stomach contracts. As you breathe out, your stomach expands. The contractions and expansions whenever you breathe in and breathe out. You just have to focus your mind on the breath. Keep the breath natural as it comes in, so it goes out. Keep it natural. Mind is roaming here and there every time whenever it hears anything from the ear. So bring it back again and again and start your attentions towards the breathing and breathe out. So with this calm and quiet mind, so let us spread our loving kindness to all the beings. May all beings be happy and peaceful. May they be healthy. And may they all be free from all kinds of suffering, bodily and mentally. May all beings be happy and peaceful. with this. Now you can slowly open your eyes. So now we have done puja also and have taken Panchashila and have gone through for the refuge of the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, and we have done meditation also. Now is the time to listen to the Dhamma, discuss about the Dhamma. So before that, I would like to pay homage to my teachers, Bhara Bhanteji, Acharya Buddha-Rakkhita Bhante, and then Kasaba Bhante, and then Rajendra Bhante, and then Khemasara Bhante also, who is joining through online. I pay homage to him also. So today, Dhamma discourse topic is on the purpose of life, and then the human nature, understanding about the nature of human beings. So the purpose of the life and the understanding the nature of human beings, today's topic. If I'm not wrong, the topic is already next Saturday. Also, the same topic will be coming on coming Saturday. So I will speak today about only one topic about the purpose of the life, and we will try to understand the fact of the life. Because already in coming Saturday, I have already the same topic will be given. Same topic is there, so that's why we will speak only with the purpose of life and then the fact of the life. So we will go through this. Before starting about the purpose of life, I would like to tell, because this purpose of life is very commonly asked questions in all the religions, all the people, they ask this simple question, but yet very complex. I don't know how much I can convince you, inspire you with this purpose of life topic. As you know, this is very common questions asked in all the religions. But today we will go and see, according to the Buddhist teaching, the purpose of life, what is actually mean the purpose of life. Before going to before understanding about the purpose of life, we should know the fact of life and the nature of life. Because according to the intellectual of the people, many have given the answer of the purpose of life. That purpose of life is to become a rich man, and is to become a successful man, and is to become a very happy person. Like this, many answer has been given by so many people of the world. But there are some questions being asked by the wise people and the philosopher, and then many big who write poet. For them, the purpose of life is like this. So many wise people, they used to say this: the life is full of suffering and unsatisfactory, and then uncertainty. And then some wise people, they says, how nice if we will be not born to this world. And there are some wise people who always says, what is this life? Why we are born here? Just to suffer for nothing. So there are the so many wise people, they used to say like this in many ways, in so many different kinds of answer according to them. But if we see that according to them, we can understand that they are the people who really sees the life as it really is. life is only for pleasing our sense. But for the wise people, not like this. The wise people says, life is not what we think life, but what we think becomes life. There are many wise people, they used to say like this. And then there are people who says about the life that life doesn't have any purpose, any meaning, but it can be used, it can be vitalized in many ways. The life becomes what we think. According to them, according to, if we understand, if we see that whatever we do becomes the purpose of that, becomes the purpose of life. If you go through immorality and rudeness, and you doesn't respect the human nature and human quality, for them the life is waste. But if you go through immorality, spirituality, and social services, helping the poor and helping all kinds of people, poor animals, so something worth is there. So we should live worthwhile while we are having this life, very life. This very life is very uncertain. At any moment, anything can be happen. So before understanding the purpose of life, we should try to understand the fact and the nature of life. In one, there are many great people who says that life is what we think life. Life is not what we think life, because in life, nature of life, life wastes itself while we preparing to live. Because sickness, old age, and miseries are the payment we are making, we are occupying for this body as house. So because let us try to understand, according to the teaching of the Buddha, the fact and the nature of life before going to the purpose. Once you fact of life, you can understand the purpose of life too. Because purpose of life lies in the fact and the nature of life. So before going to the purpose of life, let us see one sutta the Buddha says about the fact and the nature of our life. The Buddha, there is a one discourse given by the Buddha in Anguttara Nikaya, the discourse on the Buddha-Dhamma Sutta. Buddha-Dhamma, what are the Buddha-Dhamma? In the Mangala Sutta also, the Buddha have given in the last Gatha, Puttasa Buddha-Dhammehi Chittang Yasa Nakampati Asokang Virajang Khemang Etang Mangala Muttamang. Puttasa Buddha-Dhammehi Chittang Yasa Nakampati means one who are the wise. Their mind does not touched by the law of the Dhamma, law of the world. Puttasa Loka Dhammehi. They are not shaken by this Puttasa Loka Dhammehi, the law of the Dhamma, the law of the world. Here Dhamma doesn't mean the teaching of the Buddha. Dhamma here means the law of the world. So what is the law? The law is Labo alabo, yaso ayaso, ninda pasansa, sukha dukha. So these are the law. And what is the meaning of this? Labo alabo means gain and loss. Yaso ayaso means praise and blame. No. Fame and ill fame. Ninda pasansa means praise and blame. Sukha dukha means joy and pain. So these are the four pairs. Sometimes it is called a dichotomy also, and the vicissitude of the worlds also sometimes it uses. But uncertain, and everyone have to go through this, and everybody are not exempt from these four pairs of the world. Four are desirable and four are undesirable. It is like two sides of the knife. One side is sharp and other one is a blunt. Both are very dangerous. Sharp, it can kill you at any moment. And blunt, it has become rust. So both sides, desirable and undesirable, are very dangerous. But we have to go through this. Nobody is free from these four pairs of the world. Even the Buddha, who is free from all kinds of suffering, and who is free already from the greed, hatred, and delusions, who has become enlightened, fully enlightened, is also not free from these four pairs of the world. So in this sutta, I will read it out fully as the Buddha have said, and after that we will explain one by one how it works, how we should live in that moment whenever it affects in our life. So in the sutta, the Buddha himself says, because these are the 8 conditions turn with the worlds, and the worlds turns with these 8 worldly conditions. So what are the 8? The Buddha asked. Then the Buddha he himself give the answer: gain and loss, labo, alabo. And then fame and ill fame, which means in Pali, yaso, ayaso. And then blame and praise, which means in Pali, ninda and prasansa. Joy and pain, which means sukha and dukkha. These 8 conditions bhikkhus turns with the world, and the world turns with these 8 conditions. Everyone experience the worldly conditions, bhikkhus gain and losses, fame and ill fame, blame and praises, joy and pain, arises in the uninstructed worldling. Here uninstructed means the fool, puthujjana in Pali, one who don't understand, one who have no character, immorality. Such people are called uninstructed here, because they are not supposed to be instructed. They don't listen to anybody. So that's why here used in Pali, in English, uninstructed. And then because gain and losses, fame and ill fame, blame and praise, joy and pain arises to the wise people also. So wise people also has to go through these 4 pairs of the world. Nobody is free from these 4 pairs. Then the Buddha said, then the Buddha, he himself asked, then what is the distinctions? What is the distinction and what is the disparity? And what is the difference between the wise noble disciple and the uninstructed worldlings? I mean, the fool, unwise people. Then the bhikkhus who are listening to the Buddha, they said, the teaching of the Buddha is fully dependent on you, and whatever you say, we will listen to you. Oh Gautama, oh Buddha, please tell us the 4 pairs of the world, and what is the distinction and what is the disparity, what is the difference between the wise people and the uninstructed worldlings. Then the Buddha says further. Then Buddha, after telling this to the Bhikkhu Sangha, then he himself requests all the Bhikkhu Sangha who are sitting in front of the Buddha, then listen bhikkhus carefully, what are these? So whenever this gain comes to an uninstructed worldlings, uninstructed people, he does not reflect thus. Now this gain has arisen to me, but it is impermanent, unsatisfactory, subject to change. He does not understand it as it really is. So also, when losses also comes to an fool people, uninstructed man, uninstructed worldlings, he does not reflect this. Now these losses arise into me, but it is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and subject to change. He does not understand it as it really is. So these are the first pair. Now let's come to the second pair. In the same way, also in the second pair, here the Buddha says, whenever fame, name and fame comes to an uninstructed worldlings, the fool peoples, he does not reflect this again. That now this name and fame has arisen to me, but it is impermanent and unsatisfactory and subject to change. He does not understand it as it really is. So also, when it comes to the ill fame, defame, to the fool people, uninstructed people, worldling peoples, he does not reflect this again. This is impermanent, subject to change, and subject to unsatisfactory. This the fool doesn't understand as it really is. So also, whenever he get blames, whenever somebody comes and blames him, he does not understand here also. The fool doesn't understand. And what he says, what he thinks, that this is permanent. But he does not understand this is impermanent, this is subject to change and unsatisfactory. He does not see see as it really is. And so also, whenever he prays, when he get praise from somebody, and whenever someone comes and praise him, he does not understand here also that the praise has comes to him, that it is impermanent, it is subject not to change, it will be permanent, he thinks like this. But he does not understand it is going to be changed, it is permanent, it is unsatisfactory. He does not understand, fool does not understand this. So also whenever joy, the last pair, fourth number, whenever joy comes to an uninstructed worldlings, uninstructed people, fool people, immorality people, he does not here also understand that this joy has comes to me. It is impermanent. It is subject to change. It is unsatisfactory. The fool does not understand here also. He thinks these are the permanent. And so also whenever he gets something painful result, painfulness in the mind, suffering, here also he does not understand. And what he thinks, this is the permanent. And I'm going to get this pain and suffering all the time. He understands this. But he does not understand this is impermanent. This is subject to change. This is worldlings. He does not understand this. And also, whenever gain comes, his mind is always overwhelmed in his mind. Losses also continues to overwhelm his mind. So also when fame continues, this is also overwhelm his mind. And whenever ill fame continues to overwhelm his mind too. Whenever he get blames continues to overwhelm his mind. And praise also continues to overwhelm his mind. Likewise, whenever he gets joy also overwhelms his mind. And pain also overwhelms his mind too. And what the fool people says, what the worldling and uninstructed people says, this joy, whatever joy come, whatever gain come, whatever praise come, whatever sukha, happiness comes, he thinks this is the approval, this is the original. He thinks this, and he approves all the desirable things. And whatever undesirable things comes, whatever painful come, and whatever blame comes, losses come, the full things, this is disapprovable. I does not like this, but this is a fact. We have to take this one. We have to understand this one. So full thing, these are the permanent, and it is not a natural, the full things. But what about the wise people? What about the wise here? The Buddha says, whenever losses and the gain comes to a wise people, he understands it. This is impermanent and subject to change and unsatisfactory. The wise people understand this. And so also, whenever honor and dishonor, name and fame and defame comes to the wise people, here he understands this is a natural, this is a impermanent, this is going to change, this is subject to change and unsatisfactory. The wise people understand this. And so also, when the praise and blames comes to the wise people, here also they understand the nature of impermanence, nature to change, nature to unsatisfactory. And then last pairs for the wise people, sukha and dukkha, happiness and pain. Whenever the wise people affected by these two, by these last pairs, here also they understand the nature of impermanence, the nature of changing, changeable, unsatisfactory. It is not going to be the same. And then they are not, the wise people are not overwhelmed by these four pairs of the world. Four are desirable and four are undesirable. They are not carried away by these four pairs of the world. They understand the real nature, and then they understand it's going to be changed. But for the worldling, they don't understand it. So here, the world, the nature, the fact, the loka dhamma, it is neither, there is one very good saying and good example of the roses, a rose flower. In this ill-balanced world, some people think that rose is very beautiful, and some people think that rose is not beautiful. Rose is always affected by the cover with the thorn. But rose is neither thorn nor too beautiful also. So here we have to understand the three things: optimist, pessimist, and realist. So for the optimist, the rose flower is rosy, beautiful, pleasant, and attractable. But for the pessimist, the rose is having too much thorn and not attractable and not a fancy. So for the pessimist, they think the rose is as like this. But for the realist, one who is realist, one who is wise, one who understands, for him, the rose flower is neither rosy nor a thorny, but he understands the reality. So let us try to understand the first part, the losses and gain, first pair. Let us take the word gain. Whenever this gain is naturally in business, many people, many businessmen, they go through both the losses and gain. So they may know much about the losses and gain, much better than us. For the losses, for the gain, most people, they feel elated and they feel happy whenever they get something. They have gain in the business, they have gone through this and that, so they are happy whenever they get profit. In natural, it is not wrong also to have to be happy and elated, and we should be happy also whenever we get profit, uh, because it is a good for our health, also for the longevity and temper. Though natural, though it's superficially, uh, we should be happy if we have this gain. But what about the losses? Losses is very much important here to understand. So this is not losses are not accepted smilingly. We don't accept losses smilingly. It leads always to the mental agony, sometimes societal tendency too. But we have to understand here the reality. We have to maintain our mental equilibrium. We have to keep our mind in balance here. You may be elated, you may be happy whenever you get something profit. But what about the losses? How will you stay? How will you keep your mind balanced at that time? It is very much important. So here in the time of the Buddha also, there was one lady who has invited many monks to her house for the lunch. While she was serving, there were so many monks. At that time, what happened, you know? A news came, noted that something misfortune has happened in their family. She just read it out and slowly and silently kept that letter in her waist pouch. And with as it doesn't happen anything, she was offering the food to the monks. Her name was Vishaka. And then what happened at that time? There was one lady also who was preparing all kinds of food and ghee for the Bhikkhu Sangha. So she happened to be carrying one big vessel for the Bhikkhu Sangha to offer ghee. So inadvertently, that ghee pot also fell down and it broken. She thought that Vishaka Mata maybe feel sorry for this, but she didn't say anything. She was quiet. And Sariputta Bhante was telling to the Upasika at that time that all breakable things are going to break. So it is natural. We have to understand here. So how she maintained her mind at that time, though she has got a very big news about the misfortune of in their family. If it happened with us, what will be? What will be the situation at that time? It is totally different. It will be totally different and different. If it happened with us, because we are still struggling to understand the fact and to understand the mind, to understand the nature of life. We are still struggling, and our mind is not still stable. Our mind is always roaming here and there, and not always in one place. And even if you sit for the meditation for 5 or 10 minutes, our mind always roam. Even for the 30 second or 1 minute, we cannot keep our mind in one place. So if it happened with us, what will be the situations? You can imagine. And then in another incident, the Buddha, once the Buddha was going for alms round. He happened to be in that day he didn't receive any food from any Upasaka because there was Mara, the evil one who was always trying to disturb the Buddha. The Mara didn't allow anybody to give food to the Buddha. But Buddha calmly and quietly went and did meditations. After meditation, the Mara asked, "Oh Buddha, what are you hungry? Are you feeling any trouble in your body without, for not getting food? How's your mind?" Then the Buddha said at that time, one gatha, "Susukhang vatajiva ma yesang no nati kinchanang piti vakhang bhavisama deva aba sarayatha." The Buddha spoke about this gatha, which means for the wise people who doesn't possess anything, they live very happily, like a Deva Abhasara, like God, like a deity who always enjoy in joy. For the wise people, for the Buddha who is free from all kinds of suffering, who doesn't possess any kind of defilements in his mind, for them, and for who doesn't possess anything, nati kinchana, they can live very happily at any time and any moment. So like this, the Buddha, even if he didn't get any food also, he was maintaining his mind very well. And the Buddha is the example for the world and for us. And let us take another incident where the Buddha and his Sangha, they get very difficulties invited by the one devotee who after inviting the Buddha have forgot everything to offer to the Buddha, to offer food, offer the breakfast, offer lunch. He forgot everything. He was just roaming here and there, not knowing that he has invited the Buddha. The 3 months, whole Vasa, the Buddha and his Sangha spent by eating the pearls and lentils, which was also for the horses. Horse dealer has came and offered this to the Buddha. The Buddha was very happily and accepted this. So if we see here, so we have to balance everything, whether losses or whether profit, gain. So we have to understand, we have to compare this with our own life. So now let us take for the honor and dishonor. For the name, it's okay. If you become fame, it's okay. You accept this honor, fame, welcome. For the dishonor, we dislike it. Honor, because honor gladden our hearts, and dishonor dishearten us. We desire to become famous, and we long to see our pictures in the newspaper also. Sometimes we seek undue publicity too. And then there are many people who are anxious to see their picture in the magazines at any cost. And to obtain honor, what they do, they used to give a very big amount of donation also, just to get the name and fame. And there was one incident, I think, which is true also. A Upasaka once gave a lot of fame to the temple. One day, in the big program, he visited the temple. He just went and switched up all the fan which was rotating in the hot summer. And many people were also sitting there. So he just go and switch up all the switch Then people ask, why are you switching all the switch? Hello, my name is written on the fan. You can see there. If the fan is keep on rotating, how will my name be displayed? He was telling this. See here, you can understand to get the name and fame, how people can go through. Of course, if you do good work, your name will be there. But here, you should not allow your mind to be arrogance, to ego to come. If you do good, your name will, you will be famous. Your name will come in very good positions. Yeah, okay. But when the ego comes, it's totally different. When the arrogance comes, totally different. It is totally different matter. You will look upon others. You will not care the elders when the ego comes. Then what about the dishonor? Because this dishonor always disliked by us and dishearten us. Hmm? And if we see the example of the Buddha, Buddha is already an enlightened person, already free from the greed, hatred, and delusions. He is the most famous person in the world, yet he was the most maligned person at the time of the Buddha also. There was one incident happened in the time of the Buddha where many heretics, ascetics, many non-Buddhists who were not follower of the Buddha, who came to dishonor the Buddha, they tried to defame the name of the Buddha. So to the extent they have went through, so what extent they have went, they have hired one beautiful lady to defame the name of the Buddha. There were at that time many heretic ascetics who were not following the teaching of the Buddha. So because Buddha was becoming day by day famous, and his name and fame are getting wider and wider in the mind of so many people, upasaka and upasikas. So this non-Buddhist heretics, ascetics, so they are not getting the offering. So offerings are becoming lesser and lesser for them. So upasaka and many devotees who are not coming to them, all the upasaka and upasika, they are going to the Buddha. So they are getting jealous day by day. So there was one lady, paribhajaka, who does not, who is not following the teaching of the Buddha. So this ascetic went to her, uh, and she was also very beautiful, and they requested her that, can you please do something for us, sister, like this. When she heard the sister words, she was overwhelmed by the joy that many people are calling her sister and the relatives like this. She was overwhelmed by this, and she asked very peacefully, very happily, "What can I do for you?" Then there is the heretic ascetic. They said, you don't have to work any big task. You just have to go to the Jetavana monastery where the Buddha used to stay. You just go there early in the morning and come back early in the morning, and you go in the evening and come back in the evening. So your job is to tell to the people who after listening to the teaching of the Buddha, that your job is to tell them, I just came from the chamber of the Buddha. I spent the night with the Buddha. You just have to tell to the people in the evening also, in the morning also. So this was taught to her. Her name was actually Sundari. So this ascetic, after doing this, they gave this job to the Sundari, and Sundari used to do as same told by the heretic ascetics. This heretic ascetic, after doing this, what they did, they killed the Sundari and kept her body just nearby the Jetavana monastery. So after doing this, they just spread all the news in the Savatthi regions, Magadha region, that Sundari is missing, their sister is missing from so many days. And they inform to the king. After informing to the king told them, you go and search wherever you feel right. As you know, this heretic actually already they have a plan, they know what they have done. So they directly went to the Jetavana monastery and find out the body. So they just spread all the news and all in everywhere in the city. So people, after hearing this, that Bhagavan Buddha and his disciple have killed the Sundari, who was very beautiful, the people got angry. So many people at that time started to insult the Bhikkhu Sangha whenever they go for alms round. So they were not happy because of this unjust and absolute false news. There are some bhikkhus who are not actually wise, like Puthujjana, who are still struggling to become arhan, who are still struggling to remove this greed, hatred, delusion from their mind, who are still struggling. So they feel very bad after getting this insult and vulgar language from the peoples. So they don't like this, and they feel very bad. So they, after hearing, they reported everything to the Buddha, that people are not happy with us, with our rules and regulation. They are trying to defame us. They are trying to insult everywhere. Everywhere we go for alms, and they just try to insult and use many kinds of vulgar language upon us. So they informed to the Buddha this. After hearing these all words, the Buddha was Buddha know who have done this job, whose idea is this. But Buddha, who is already freed, so he told all the bhikkhu that you just have to repeat one verse among the people wherever you go. So what word is that? Then the Buddha said, Abhutavading nirayam upeti yo vapikatvana karumeti jaha ubopite pecha sama bhavanti nihina kamma manuja paratha. So what is the meaning of this? The liar, one who lies, goes to the state of woe, goes to the state of misery, goes to the state of unhappiness, unhappy state. And also, he who having done wrong and says, I did not do it. Men of such actions, men of such characters, both on departing, they share the same destiny. They share the misery state, unhappy state, because of their bad karma. So what we have to do? In this case, we have to maintain our mind, because name and fame, this is very, in the sutta, for the wise people, they are not carried away. Understand, this is impermanent. This is going to change, and this is unsatisfactory. The wise people understand here. So we have to become a very wise. We have to understand. We have to see the nature. We have to see the impermanent nature of this honor and dishonor. And third pair, praise and blame. And it is also very important here to understand the praise and blame. And whenever we get praise, it is natural to be elated, natural to be happy. And here also, What about the blame? Because this undesirable blame, sometimes we get false news unjustly upon us. It happened with us. So what you are going to do at that time? Because praise and blame is like an echo, which ultimately does not exist. Praise and blame. Whenever you get praise, you don't have to be happy. The more you get praise, the more body you become fat, like a balloon. The balloon is very high chance to be blast at any moment. Likewise, when you get praise, no need to be elate, no need to be happy, no need to go high like a balloon. When the balloon is put, the more you put pressure in the balloon becomes very big and it has very high chance to blast at any moment. Then blame comes. Then what about the blame? When blame comes, how will you deal with it? How will you stay? Here the Buddha says, praise and blame. In one gatha, the Buddha says, Purana metang atula netang ajjatanameva. Nindanti tunhimasinam, nindanti bahubaninam. Mita baninam pinindanti, nathi loke anindito. There was one incident in the time of the Buddha that Atula, who was one of the very devout upasaka of the Buddha, once he wants to listen to the Buddha's teachings. So after not meeting with the Buddha, he went directly to the Sariputta Bhante to listen to the Dhamma. So after listening to the Dhamma, so Atula requested the Sariputta Bhante to give the Dhamma talk. Sariputta Bhante gave him the very length and breadth Dhamma talk on Abhidhamma. But this Atula is not happy because the Dhamma was too long. He was not happy. Then he went to another monk to listen to the Dhamma. And there also he went and asked that Bhante, Arahant Bhante, please give me the Dhamma talk. That Bhante, who was very, who wants to stay in solidity, who doesn't speak too much. So he just went, okay, you do this and you do that. He just spoke 2 or 3 words and sent him back. There the Atula, he also not happy there. He was blaming to that Bhante who spoke very little. Then after that, he went to the Anand Bhante. Anand Bhante also did the same thing. Not giving Dhamma talk in very brief. The Atula totally not happy with this. Not happy. He was just blaming them for giving the Dhamma too long, for giving the Dhamma too short. He was not happy. And after that, at that moment, the Buddha was going to somewhere. So he went directly to the Buddha and prostrated before him and asked the Dhamma. And he was just complaining about the Sariputta Bhante, Anand Bhante, and other monk who was preaching about this too long and too short like this. So he was just blaming. Then the Buddha said, the fool, the Puthujjana, they blame. No, there is no people in the world who is free from praise and blame. The people will blame those who speak much. The people will blame those who speak little. The people will blame those who speak in brief. Nathi loke anindito. There is nobody in the world who is free from praise and blame. So here also we have to understand the nature of praise and blame, and it is natural. All will do. Even the Buddha, even we, also have to go through this praise and blame. The last part, that is happiness and pain. This is very important also, because this happiness and pain mostly comes in our mind. And very opposite to each other. They're the most powerful factor of mankind. What can be borne with ease is sukha, and what is difficult to bear is dukkha. What is easily gained is called sukha, and what is difficult to bear is dukkha. So this sukha and dukkha are also very important parts in our life. We have to understand this sukha and dukkha. Sometimes the Buddha also constantly subject to headache. His illness caused him much physical pain, suffering as a result of Devadatta's hurling rock to kill him. His foot was wounded by splinter, which necessitated an operation. This is dukkha. And sukha, this is also very dangerous. If we always try to find the happiness, to get the sense happiness, searching for the happiness, whatever which comes through our eyes, through our ears, through our nose, tongue, and body, we try to get all kinds of suffering through this happiness, I mean. So sukha and dukkha also very important part in our life. We have to understand it. And sometimes death comes and we feel very suffering, we feel pain. Whenever somebody passes away, we feel very pain. And whenever somebody born, we feel very happy. Why this happen? Because we don't understand the nature of happiness and pain, which is ultimately not a nature, which is ultimately impermanent and unsatisfactory and subject to change. There was one lady in the time of the Buddha whose son passed away in the age of 15 or 16 years. She was not crying at the time. She was just normal, behaving like every day. People came and asked her, what happened? Why are you not crying? This and that. Then she very wisely answered a saying called, uninvited he comes and uninformed he went. As he comes, so he went. So whatever is weeping, what is the profit in weeping? What is the use? There is no use. When he came, he does not inform me. And when he went, there also he does not inform me. So this is natural to be happy when somebody born, and natural to be pain when somebody death. And this is natural. We have to understand it. We have to accept it. If we know, if we understand this, we can understand the purpose of life. There was one very good example. The Buddha gave one very good simile where he taught about the one man who was roaming in the jungle. The jungle was filled with rock and thorns. He was walking there. So while walking, he lost his way. After losing, what happened? He was confronted by a very big elephant who started to chase him. This man, what happened? Out of fear for death, he started to run. Then the elephant started to chase him. So there was no other way to escape. The man, he saw one well. He was supposed to jump there. But before jumping, he saw one very big snake in the well. But there was no other way, so he jumped there. Luckily, he got a grab on one creeper which was growing on the side wall, or side part of the well. So he was just hanging on that creepers. So while he was hanging on, there was two mice, two rat. One was black and other one was white. To his horror, to his surprise, these two mice were cutting the creepers. Were cutting. In this situation, he was facing death from the three different ways: snake, mice, and elephant. There was one beehive growing upon him on that one tree. From that beehive, one drop of honey was trickling and dropping, drop by drop. So suddenly, the drop of honey fell on his hands. He tasted it. After tasting, he felt very happy and he felt very tasteful. And he forgot that he was facing the death from three different ways. He was just enjoying. At that time, there was one wise man who was walking from that road. He saw the pathetic situation of that man and he gave his helping hand also. But this man, what he do? He forgot everything. He was not accepting his help. He just say, you go away your own way, I will do my way. I'm happy here. He was just enjoying the honey drop which was falling occasionally from the honey beehive. So here we have to understand how our life act. The elephant, snake, they represent our death. Death may come at any moment, any time. Whether if you are sleeping, you may die. While walking, you may die. You may have accidents. Anything can happen. Because this is the fact and this is the natural, and this we have to understand. And then, like this elephant and snake, they are our messenger of death. We have to understand here. And mice, one is red, black one, and other one is a white one. This is like our day and night. We don't understand the day and night. That day and night is keep on cutting our lifespan. We don't understand it. We are just enjoying. We are just counting the number, counting the day and night, counting the date. We don't understand. In reality, the day and night is keep on cutting your lifespan. And then wise man is like our Buddha. Buddha already came and taught the Dhamma. And the work is we have to practice. We have to understand. We have to work our own, not rely on the Buddha, not rely on the God, not rely on our teachers. We have to work in our own. So this way we have to understand our life. We should not waste our life. The purpose of life is to make our mind powerful, great, and we have to make our mind from stingy to generosity, anger to non-anger. So this is the purpose of our life, according to the teaching of the Buddha, according to the way of Buddhism. The Buddha have taught to make your mind free from greed, hatred, and delusion. This is the main purpose of our life. And if we don't understand about this, about the nature, about the nature of our life, about the nature of day and night, we will be like the man who was confronted by the death in many situations, we will be like that. We have to understand here the purpose of life. Purpose of life is to make your mind clear, neat, clean, and to be friendly. So this is the purpose of our life. Our Bodhi used to say, if you want to know the purpose of life, you should see your mind. You should see your words. You should see your actions. These three: words, actions, and mind. If you see these three things, you will know the purpose of life. From the time you wake up, in the morning till you retire to the bed, see what you do, see what you speak, see what you think. If you can do this, you will know the purpose of life. Once you know the purpose of life, you will not be indolent. You will not be lazy. Your mind will not be unmindful. You will be always awareful and wakeful, and your mind will always be mindful. So this is the purpose. And with this today, without not taking much time, once again I thank to the participant, and once again I'm very happy to speak about the purpose of life. I don't know how much I convince you, because I already told you before, this is very common questions. And here we have learned, we have tried to understand according to the way of the Buddha, how the Buddha have taught about the purpose, how the Buddha have taught the fact of life. So this we have to understand here. So with this, I conclude here. May all of you be happy and peaceful.
Sadhu, Bhante. Bhante, we will open up the session for question and answer.
Okay.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Bhante, for taking our hand and leading us the first step towards leading a Buddhist life. So thank you very much, Bhante, for a great discourse today. I will read the question and answers questions for you, Bhante, as I get them. Lot of people just wanted to pay respects to you right now, Bhante, for the Dhamma talk.
I saw one question that snack. What represents a snack?
Yes, go ahead, Bhante. What the snake represents?
Yes, snack represents death, because death come in different ways. Not just elephant. Elephant was in one way, and snake was there another way. So also in our life, death doesn't come in one way. Death may come in any way, in any situations. So likewise, the snake also here represent death. This is just an example.
Bhante,
one more.
People. Yes, go ahead, Bhante.
Honey drop. Yeah, there's one Upasaka asked about the honey drop. Honey drop here represent the fleeting nature of our life. Like the honey, which is very tasteful, which has very great taste. So also, if we are always carried away by the worldly pleasures, which comes through our ears, which comes through our eyes, which comes through our nose. So this is like honey. And then fleeting nature, this is, we are always bound to get all kinds of happiness, all kinds of temporary happiness, like a honey drop. So here The honey drop represent the which dilute our mind, which give greed to arise. So such the honey represent here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bhante. Bhante, one question comes if at the death of a near relative, if we don't lament, we don't we behave like a normally in every day. What does the society think about that? How should we look at that?
No, if you think for the society, it is not the society what they will think. It is totally depend on you, what you do at that moment. So it does not represent, it does not talk about the society, that society will say this and that. You are not supposed to do according to the society people says. Because this is totally depend in your mind, how you should react whenever. Because if anything happen in your mind, it is depend on you only. Whatever happen, whatever comes in our mind, if we just show to the society, so this is totally different way here. Here you have to react according to the way the situation happens. So only the most people, they don't do, most people in the world, they cry whenever somebody dies. But no, this does not happen for the most people. Only 99, only one person who are very wise, they can do this. But I can say this, that most people in the world, they cannot do. Somebody and someone and all the people, if anybody die, they will surely cry. But only few people who are very wise, they will not do this. Because they understand the nature and the impermanence of this life. So this is the answer according to me.
Okay, thank you, Bhante. Bhante, the next question is: isn't enlightenment the purpose of our life?
According to the Buddhism, according to the way of our thinking, our life should be the purpose to become enlightened. So this is the answer according to the way of Buddhism, according to the way of thinking. The Buddhist people, even in the Buddhist country, Thailand, Burma, and Sri Lanka, whenever the way they do puja to the Bhikkhu Sangha or to the Buddha, they just ask blessing, may I be free from all kinds of suffering. So if we see this, we can understand that our purpose of life should be to become enlightened, not in the form of to become totally free. Here, enlightened means totally free from all kinds of greed, hatred, and delusion. And it is not easy also. At least here, the upasaka and upasika who seek blessing, they ask for this. If we see, we can understand here the purpose of life is to be enlightened.
Thank you, Bhante. Bhante, one question here is: the purpose of life is to be happy, but you say one should neither be happy nor sad. Then how happiness is to be explained?
Here, happiness in the sense, because if your happiness here, we have to understand as impermanence. It is not a permanent happiness, because the Buddha says whatever happiness superficially come through your mind, through your eyes, body, or ears, it is just a temporary happiness. So this is not an exact and clear and ultimate happiness. So changeable, it's going to change. That's why we should not be elated. We should stay in equanimity here, the Buddha says. So this happiness is not a true happiness, because it's going to change. And if this change, you will become angry. And when you become angry, you will feel very unsatisfactory in your mind. So that's why the Buddha is trying to tell here we should neither be happy nor be sorrowful when such an incident and such a unimaginable happen in our life. We should stay in equanimity level at that time.
Thank you, Bante. Bante, the next question is, what is ego and how to decrease one's ego-ness, or one's ego, how to decrease that, how to manage one's ego?
Ego is very important part in our life. We have to understand the ego, because whenever ego comes, we doesn't care anybody. So the best option, the best way to reduce the ego is to become humble. There is one saying for this ego. If you have ego, you should not have ego, because there is a I forgot that saying. In Hindi, there was one saying that I will try to translate it in English. That the saying says, if you have lots of ego in your mind, you should go to the cemetery and see there so many great people who are lying there, whose body has become mud, just ashes left. There is nothing left in ego. So to remove the ego, you have to become humble. Once you become humble, your ego will be slowly decreased. And ego cannot be totally removed. It has to be decreased. You have to become humble. You have to respect the elders and even your younger ones. So once you, we have to do in ourselves, becoming humbleness, becoming doing puja. That's why the Namo Tassa, Namo starts with Na Ma. Na means no, Ma Mana, which means ego. We are not doing the ego. We are trying to remove the ego. We are trying to remove the arrogance from our mind. That's why we do Namo. So that's why we have to become very humble to remove the ego-ness, I-ness, and my-ness. So this is very important to understand in our life, because once this ego come in our mind, we doesn't care anybody. We look upon all the peoples. We look upon the poor people. We look upon everything. We look upon. We don't know. We don't care. We don't do anything for them. You just have to be sit on the top. So this ego is very dangerous in our life. That's why I try to understand this ego. Thank you.
Thank you, Bante. Bante, the next question is, sometimes we develop harm for people, or we develop hatred towards people who didn't even harm us directly. How do we understand that, and how can why we hate someone for no reason? So this question came to me this question came in a private one, Bante. Sometimes we hate someone who didn't even directly harm us. How do we change our understanding as to not able to, why we harm or we hate other people who didn't even harm us? So we can think it in terms of, I think based on the question, I can say, like, sometimes we have hatred towards another religion, or another people from another religion, or people from another country, or people from another state, or something like that. Those people may not have directly harmed us, but we still hate them. So how do we change this behavior? Why do we hate someone who has, for no reason we hate someone?
Oh, I could not get your questions.
So, Bante, sometimes we develop hatred towards people from another country, people from another state, people who are not from our religion. Those people may not have directly harmed us, but we still have that hatred towards them. So why? How do we see that hatred? Why we hate somebody who doesn't harm us directly, and how do we get rid of that?
Actually, it happens sometimes according to the environment, according to the atmosphere you live in, how the rumors, how the news is spread on. Because at that time, we get, though we don't know them, but we become angry. Let's say about Pakistan and India. So it is totally spread that in that Pakistan is not good country, and people over there are not good people. And even in the Pakistan also, the Pakistan people, they may say that Indian people are not good, and Indian people are very bad. So such if you see from both country, there may be so many people, there may be so many good people in both country. But situation has become like this, atmosphere has become like this, and we have to, we become very hateful to them without no reasons. So sometimes according to the situation, according to the atmosphere where you stay, it happen. But you have to learn to live metta life, loving kindness life. You have to do loving kindness, because without no reason we become hatred towards that people for the atmosphere where the situations, because already false news has already been spread. So in this moment we have to do metta bhavana, spread loving kindness to in the loving kindness metta bhavana, already the to those to whom you know, and that to those who don't you know, to them also we have to spread our loving kindness. So Buddha have clearly taught about the metta bhavana in Buddhism, said that no, spreading loving kindness toward yourself and spreading loving kindness toward the teachers, towards your elder brother, towards your friends and relatives, and even those who you don't know them. To them also we have to spread loving kindness. And even at the last, to whom you hate, you should spread loving kindness. If you don't do this, same thing will happen, and there will be no answer for these questions.
Thank you, Bante. Bante, the next question is then how do we see that if we don't react to a situation where people are blaming us and we are just trying to keep our calm, and they start to think that we are incapable of reacting, we are not able to stop them. How do we look at this situation?
Can you repeat the questions again, please?
So, Bhante, if we don't react and we keep our calm when people are blaming us, they are attacking us, and we just kind of keep calm and keep giving metta, won't they think that we are incapable of fighting with them, and they might take advantage of this situation? How do we see this situation?
For this question's answer,
Am I audible? Okay, Bhante?
yes. I got your questions now. I was very difficult to understand little bit. Actually, for not reacting is not the way of that we are not reacting, because the people who think that we are not reacting, so they are the stupid. Actually, they should not they should not think this, and we should not react that for this, because if we react, the same thing will happen with that people and the people who are doing metta bhavana. Because the Buddha have said that Nahi verena verani samanti da kudachanam avirena samanti esa dhammo sanantano. Because here clearly the Buddha said, nahi verena verani means the hatred will never be appeased by hatred. Only the non-hatred will appease the hatred. This is this is Sanatan Niyam. This is the law of the world. We have to accept this. If both react from both sides, then there will be totally devastating situations. So somebody has to do, somebody has to come backward in this moment.
Okay, thank you, Bante. Bante, the next question is, how should we control our mind if we are in a negative situation? If people have behaved with us negatively, there is a negative situation with respect to dishonor or something like that. How can we train our mind to behave in a positive way in a very negative situation?
This is also the Dhamma of the law of the world. So here I already told you that for the wise people who understand the nature of impermanence, the nature of changeable things, the nature of unsatisfactory, here we have to understand this. Then only we can manage our mind. Then we can change. We can keep our mind calm and quiet. And one thing here, equanimity is very important here in Buddhism. Equanimity is taught to balance our mind. So whenever something misfortune, something these losses happen, we have to understand. We have to accept this. You are not exempt from these losses, gain, and then blame, and sometimes you will get profit, and sometimes you will get losses, and sometimes you will be blamed, and sometimes you will be praised, and sometimes you will feel happy, and sometimes you will feel pain. So in this moment we have to keep our mind in equal level. Because we have to understand here, the wise people, they understand this nature, they understand the changeable things. So that's why we have to be equal. We have to keep our mind in one balance, and if possible, you can do meditation if you know the how to do meditation, or if you are mentally strong, you can just let it go. So this is the simple answer.
Thank you, Bante. Bante, the next question is, how to begin basically to lead a Buddhist life? What should be our short-term goal? How to begin basically to lead a Buddhist life? What should be our short-term goal?
So in this short term, to live a Buddhist happy life, so we should have an understanding power to know about the kusala and akusala. We have to understand the wholesome and unwholesome, the result, and then uh, the cause and effect. We have to understand this. And once you understand this cause and effect, you can lead a very good Buddhist life. Once you understand the good and bad, you will know how to deal with your mind, how to deal with your family life, how to deal with uh, other people, with the outside world and inside world, inside your mind. Once you understand this kusala, akusala, and you can lead a very good Buddhist happy life.
Thank you, Bante. Bante, the next question is, you said this is related to the example of rose that you gave in the talk. You said that in a rose, realistic person neither sees it as rosy nor sees it as thorny. So, what should one see in a rose? Because it is both beautiful and have thorns. What human quality can be compared to this?
Here, the rose is just an example, because for the unwise people, for the Puthujjana people, they just seek happiness. They seek only happiness. They don't want any kind of dukkha, any kind of losses, any kind of blame. They don't want this. They want this is not exactly it will going to happen, but and then for the fool people who always strive for the happiness, and it is not going to happen. So Rose is here just example given because for the fool people who just seek happiness, they don't want the horn, they don't want the prick in their hands, and then people. There are people also who sees this rose as thorn because they don't want to touch the flower because there is lots of thorn. And then there are people who just who love the rose flower, but they don't want to touch the thorn. So even in our life also, sometimes pleasant happens, sometimes unpleasant happens, and then whenever unpleasant happens, we become very agitated. We become totally depressed in our mind. And sometimes whenever some happiness to our body and mind comes, we become totally elated. But here the rose is trying to tell the nature of everything, nature of losses and gains. Rose is not totally perfect by roses. Roses also, it looks beautiful, but it has thorn also. In our life also, we have sometimes beautiful moments, sometimes we have a very unpleasant moment. We have to go through this life very peacefully, keeping our mind equally with equanimity mind. So here, rose does not represent totally beautiful also, and totally thorn also. It represents only the reality. It is for the reality people. It is neither thorny nor too rosy. They see the rose as it is. Our life
Thank you,
also.
Bhante. Yeah, go ahead, Bhante.
We also see our life ups and down as it is. We should not go too much to the desirable, too much to the undesirable. We should keep our mind in equanimity level. And Buddha already taught us about the Majjhima Patipata. We should go in Majjhima way, in a middle way. That is to keep our mind in equanimity.
Thank you, Bhante. Bhante, your next question is: does our life, our purpose in the life is predetermined by previous karma or predetermined by any other entity, or can each person has a potential? Does he can change his own purpose of life?
Yeah, this question you can ask in tomorrow's topic, because tomorrow's Dhamma discuss will be on this topic. You can ask here.
Okay, thank you, Bhante. What are the practical ways, Bhante, if our mind is carried away by either of the four pairs of dichotomies? What are the practical ways to get our mind back on track to be equanimous?
Here, practical way is just to let it go and do meditations and practice sila. So this is the only practical way and simple and best. Just let it go. Forget everything and sit for meditations.
Okay, thank you, Bhante. The next question is how to deal with family members who are self-centered and harm one's interest and purpose of life.
Okay.
This is at 9:42 a.m. So your time, that would be Around 18 minutes back from from the time now, Bante. So that would be 9:12 9:12 a.m. Bante. You see that question? Yeah, 9:12 p.m. Yeah. How to deal with family members who are self-centered and harm one's interest and purpose of life.
Self-centered. What is the meaning of self-centered? You mean?
So some family member may be just looking or taking only their own interest, right? Somebody is alcoholic, and he just wants to keep on being alcoholic without worrying about other family members' concern or even his own purpose or even his own concerns. So how do we deal with those people who are just keeping constantly their own interest, whatever good or bad interest they have, and not worrying about other family members, and they are ruining their own purpose in the life? How to deal with that?
If possible, you can advise him not to be self-centered or not to be alcoholic. If possible, you can do as much as you like. You can try how much you can do for the good of him. You can try to make him good person also, and not alcoholic person. If he doesn't listen to you, then better to avoid him.
Okay. Thank
Buddha
you,
also,
Bante.
even the Buddha also said that if you don't get good companions equal to you, wise people, if you don't find any wise people, good wise friends to stay with you, if there is nobody, the better to live alone, the Buddha said.
Okay, thank you, Bante. Bante, the next question is, what is the difference between ego and self-respect?
Here, I understand the ego is totally to stay upon all the people. It does not respect any beings. Ego, in the Buddhism also, we believe ego is totally bad for our mind and totally akusala, unwholesome for our mind. But in the sense, self-respect here, here we understand the self in the sense because you practice morality, you do some good work, you do meditations. In this sense, we understand the self-respect as our. So ego is totally different and self-respect is totally different because you have some quality. That's why some good quality. That's why you have some. You feel yourself self-respect. So ego and self-respect are totally different.
Okay, Bante, the next question is, so I see a lot of questions, Bante, in here, but the main gist of the question coming in is how to keep ourselves equanimous in a adverse or in a bad or a negative situation. So people are asking that question in one way or the other.
Already I have told you all are changeable. You just have to let it go.
Okay, thank you very much, Bante.
Answer is same, but question is different. I could see, I see here.
Okay, Bante, the next question is sort of philosophical. He just wants to know: can we understand life while in life? So while living, can we understand life?
Actually, to understand a life is in the way, according to them, how they understand. I am also not clearly cannot tell them whether I can understand the life, how we are living, what we are doing, because life can be life can have any meaning, so many meaning. So we think according to the Buddha's way, and there are many people who think according to their way. So life depends on them, depends on what we think. That becomes our life. So I cannot tell you the clearly about these questions.
Okay, thank you, Bante. Bante, this question is coming in an office environment. We tend to talk about our seniors to our colleagues about their lacking and incapabilities, which we cannot talk in front of the same person because of work ethics. But then it is termed as backbiting. So, how do we deal with this?
First of all, our mind thinks about this, that they are backbiting about us. So first of all, this mind is always act about that people is talking about me. So in this moment, we have to see our mind, because mind is the most dangerous at this moment, because mind is telling you that somebody is telling about you, and somebody is trying to backbite about you. So in this moment, if you really want to solve this problem, you just have to go directly to him, or else you have to remove these thoughts from your mind. It can be true if you go directly telling to him, or it can be false also if you directly tell him. And better to remove these kinds of backbiting thoughts from your mind.
Okay, Bante, thank you very much. Your next question is thinking only about oneself, is it not selfish? Selfish, like we will walk alone, we will keep the sense that I, me, mine, that sort of thing. Is that what we are saying here, Bante?
Actually, here INS minus is totally linked with the ego. Uh, to think for self is to become free from greed, hatred, delusion. We should think like this. But if you think this is mine, this came to me, then this is totally selfish. And if you work for your own sake, for to become uh, wise man, for to become free from this negativeness, this is not a selfish. This is once you show your this once you show this kinds of example to the people, and they will act seeing you, you will become the example. This is not a selfish.
Okay, thank you very much, Bante. Bante, the next question is what is the difference between non-self and not self? And similarly, egolessness and non-ego.
Yeah, this question you can ask in the next season. So this is
Next
coming.
question.
Yeah. So
Okay, Bante. Um, okay, Bante, I mean, this is going back to the whole session completely, but somebody just wanted to know purpose of life in one single line, in just one word or one simple line, simple words. What would you say, Bante?
this is depend on your thinking, how you think, how you act. In the Buddhist way of thinking is to become enlightened. So this is the simple answer. So
Okay,
enlightened from
Bante.
greed, enlightened from hatred, enlightened from delusion, enlightened from negativeness of the mind. So complete? It's okay?
This is the last one, Bante. Here is the purpose of life is to purify one's mind.
Yes, it can be. And for Buddhist, we think this, and we our purpose is this, to clean our mind. Yes, it can be done.
Okay, Bhante. Thank you very much, Bhante. So that's the last of the questions that I have seen, Bhante. And thank you very much for the good talk. I wanted to thank Bhante Jnana Rakshita for a very insightful discourse today. You kept it very simple, yet extremely meaningful as to how we can achieve these things in life. So thank you very much, Bhante, for the talk. Bhante, you wanted to give us little metta, Bhante, before we close the session?
Yes, we would like to give blessings to all the participants here, and with metta we will conclude here with Pali chanting. Sukhi bhaveyan nidukho ahang nichang ahang viya hita chami sukhi hontu majjata chata virino imam hingama ketam hi satta hontu sukhi sada tato parancha rajesu Chakavale Sujantano. Sadhu, sadhu. May you all be happy and peaceful.